The future we're moving into is going to be fantastic. And if you line up with that statement, you will see the evidence proving that that is the case. Last week, an amazing clip showed up on YouTube. It's showing the promise of the AI era. I'm going to comment on this video because it offers such promising, fantastic, exciting commentary on what's coming in our very near future, but only if you can perceive the promise instead of the peril. Who am I? I'm Perry Gruber, the Enlightenment Guy. Let's watch this one together.
AI is no longer an abstract threat. It's causing job loss right now, and the headlines, they tell the story. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, on Wednesday released a study that found that artificial intelligence can already replace 11.7% of the U.S. labor market, or as much as $1.2 trillion in wages across finance, healthcare, and professional services. The New York Times recently reported that Amazon is on the cusp of replacing what would be 600,000 warehouse jobs with robots and plans to automate 75% of its operations. CNBC reporting that Salesforce, Walmart, Paramount, UPS, YouTube, and Meta have all announced new rounds of layoffs attributable to AI, with nearly 1 million job cuts nationwide this year. That's the job loss that we can measure. Now consider what some are predicting about the future. Goldman Sachs estimating that 6 to 7% of the U.S. workforce could be displaced due to AI adoption. They do note, however, that the impact may only be transitory because new opportunities created by AI might ultimately put people to work in other capacities. A report by the McKinsey Global Institute finding that AI could displace 40% of American jobs due to automation by 2030. That analysis found that robots and AI agents could automate more than half of U.S. work hours, both manual and cognitive, using technology that's available today if companies redesigned how they'll do things in the future. The World Economic Forum projecting that 92 million jobs worldwide may be displaced by 2030. Ford's CEO saying that AI could replace half of all white-collar workers there. NYU professor Scott Galloway predicting that AI will hit middle management first, noting that 6% dropped in managers at public companies since 2022. So here we are, AI eliminating jobs, more automation coming. If millions of people lose work, how will they support themselves?
So this is really exciting news, but only if you can see the promise and not the peril. The promise is, and this is so good, this is what the majority of points of consciousness have been asking for. I did a video that dropped last week talking about why AI now. And the reason why is because more points of consciousness are now focused on this future that is emerging, the AI era. More points of consciousness are focusing on that as our future than there are points of consciousness focusing on what is. And as those points of consciousness focus on the future that's coming, more and more evidence is manifesting as a result of their focus. This is so good. And it's causing people to get scared. You saw it. McKinsey, Ford, many other organizations, many other economic watchdogs are looking at the future, and they are seeing that by 2030, significant shifts are going to happen in the labor market. And that's a good thing. But those who see the peril, the layoffs, people not getting income, etc., those people are contributing to this too. Contributing to what? The manifestation of the AI age. Because what those people are doing, the people who are afraid, is through their fear, they're focusing on what they don't want, which is the rise of the AI age. And what you focus on gets bigger. So the people who are here, who have come from non-physical to move us into this AI age, as well as those people who are here, who are resisting it, are both co-creating the future that's coming. And the future is evident in this report, showing that there are all kinds of evidence that up to 50% of the labor market will be captured by artificial intelligence, humanoid robots, and AI agents. This is the heralding of a new era, an era in which we will be more free than ever. But if you don't see the evidence in the way I'm describing, then you end up wanting to sign that AI ban petition that you've heard if you've been watching my videos or seen it on YouTube. There are a lot of people who are focusing on the peril, seeing, as Elon Musk likes to say, the glass half full, half empty, when instead it's brimming over with fullness, brimming over with opportunity for everybody. And it's so cool because at the same time that there's evidence supporting what I'm talking about, there's evidence supporting what the people who are fearful are talking about, because there is room in all that is to offer evidence of any point of consciousness. The cool thing about that is even those points of consciousness that choose to be misaligned with the unfolding of all that is amplify and contribute to the unfolding of all that is. And so there's no stopping what we're seeing here in this report. There is no stopping the fact that AI is going to take over the job market, displace human workers, and as a result of that, our governments worldwide are going to have to take action. And one of the actions they're going to have to take, I'm almost spilling the beans here on the rest of this broadcast, but one of the actions they're going to have to take is figuring out how to keep people having money while this turbulence occurs. So let's keep watching, because what they talk about next and who they introduce next is the perfect introduction, the perfect person to be on this clip talking about what he's going to talk about next.
Where an idea from the 2020 presidential campaign returns to the conversation. Universal Basic Income, or UBI. The concept, pretty straightforward. Every American adult would receive a set check each month. For Cook County, Illinois, which includes Chicago, this concept just became reality. The Cook County Board of Commissioners unanimously approved its 2026 budget proposal just this month. It includes $7.5 million for a guaranteed basic income program. Commissioners approved it after the success of a pilot program where the county provided $500 a month to 3,200 households over 2 years. Survey findings based on that pilot revealed that 94% of the program recipients used the funds to address financial emergencies. 75% reported feeling more financially secure. 70% said that the program had a positive impact on mental health.
Okay, so here I want to just scroll back a second, because there's information on that slide right there that I want to point to. In a previous video where I was lauding 3 high net worth individuals who are talking about this AI age and all the wonderful things that are coming, one of them, his name is Andrew, mentioned how positive universal basic income was. And the other guy, I want to say his name was Steven, but I don't think that's his name. Anyhow, I'll make it clear in the video overlay that I'm going to put here. But one of the other guy spewed all of these stats about UBI and how it contributed to alcoholism, drug use, etc. And here we have a Cook County pilot project that demonstrated extreme levels of positive results of their UBI test. So positive that they went ahead and put it into law. They made it permanent. So if a county is willing to make such a deal permanent, how could UBI possibly create those negative outcomes that other guy was talking about? In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip in, after I record this video, I'm going to clip in the segment where that guy talks about the negative effects of UBI so that you can hear for yourself what he talks about and compare it to what you just saw here. These stats are extraordinary. And
yeah, Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah, this sounds a lot like a universal basic services concept, UBS, as
Yes.
sort of the symmetric dual to UBI, universal basic income. I'm very bullish on universal basic services in general. I think I would expect it's an artifact of a mature economy that the cost of living can be driven down to near zero as part of a sort of lifestyle subscription, an Amazon super prime, if you will.
Yeah, no, super excited about
there's
this.
a lot of studies that say that universal basic income backfires in terms of it causes depression, causes alcoholism, causes drug use.
And they are the same stats that have been produced, virtually the same stats that have been produced in every UBI experiment. So this UBI thing is going to be reality for all of us as we move into the AI age in order to help us bridge our reality from where we are now to where we're ending up, where AI, humanoid robots, and AI agents basically do everything, leaving, like Elon Musk likes to say, work for humans as an option. Let's keep watching. This is so cool.
Program had a positive impact on mental health. Of course, there's the question of how do you pay for it? In the case of Cook County, as a result of the decrease in commercial real estate values, everybody's property taxes are now sky high. In Chicago, rising 16.7%, the largest jump in at least 30 years. West Garfield Park saw an increase of 133%, North Lawndale 99%, Englewood 82.5%. And there's pushback from the Illinois Policy Institute, which cites concerns about workforce and income effects. Quote, Cook County is making its guaranteed income pilot permanent and committing millions to a failed strategy already shown to leave people with less work experience and lower earnings. Back in 2020, it was presidential candidate Andrew.
Okay, I just need to stop real quickly to comment on that quote. So this is politics. Let's just move myself here. This is politics happening in real time. The critic here, Josh, is claiming that the guaranteed income pilot was a failed strategy, but the evidence produced from the study, from the pilot, showed that it didn't fail, that it was indeed a success. Now, it's a different matter relative to the taxes that property holders are having to pay. That's a totally different matter. And if you listen to what the guy was talking about how those property taxes increased, it wasn't because of the UBI project. It was because of economic conditions changed. And those economic conditions are going to get worse. In fact, the person who's about to come on and talk is going to be talking about how the economic conditions are going to get so bad that there's going to be no other option but to do exactly what UBI proposes. There is no turning this around. Industries are going to adopt AI, humanoid robots, and AI agents as quickly as they become available. And so governments, Cook County is ahead of the curve. Governments are going to have to figure out how to keep money in people's hands. And that pressure is what's going to make UBI universal. It's so good to see. Okay, let's keep watching.
Billions to a failed strategy already shown to leave people with less work experience and lower earnings. Back in 2020, it was presidential candidate Andrew Yang who called his version of universal basic income the freedom dividend, specifically $1,000 per month, no work requirements, no means testing, a direct payment to help people cover bills, weather economic transitions, and adapt to a job market reshaped by technology. Andrew Yang joins me now. Andrew, nice to have you back. I pulled a profile of you from 2018 when you were just on the cusp of announcing your candidacy. Here's a quote that you provided to the author of the piece. You said, "Need is self-driving cars to destabilize society. In a few years, we're going to have 1 million truck drivers out of work who are 94% male with an average level of education of high school or 1 year of college. That one innovation will be enough to create riots in the street. And we're about to do the same thing to retail workers, call center workers, fast food workers, insurance companies, and accounting firms. It was 7 years ago. How is that quote aging?
It's aging very, very well, unfortunately. Michael, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. 44% of American jobs are either repetitive manual or repetitive cognitive, and thus could be subject to AI and automation. And we're seeing that unfold right now. It's heartbreaking for me because I feel we could be doing much, much more for the millions of Americans who are going to be displaced.
I know that Cook County is just a microcosm, but I'm sure in hearing about their experience, people are wondering, okay, Andrew Yang, we're on board. Now we get it. What you saw 7 years ago, the rest of us see, but how do we pay for it?
The CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei, just raised his hand and said, you guys should tax us, the AI firms. And right now, hundreds of billions of dollars of value is being realized by Anthropic and these other firms on the back, by the way, of data that we all provided unwittingly and didn't agree to it. But it's trillions of dollars of value, and most Americans aren't going to see a dime of that. So if you have the CEO of an AI company saying you should tax us, I think we should take him up on his suggestion.
So this is so good. He's absolutely right. So this is the natural effect of a massive co-creation happening. So we've been participating in all of this social media that has created the internet. And as a result of, I'm talking about the data that's on the internet, not the internet itself. And as a result of that, companies have been gobbling up this data. And as a result of that, they've been using that data to feed into developing AI. And now we have this AI technology emerging that's going to free us from having to work and create a world that is unlike one we've seen before, where sustainable abundance is the rule of the day. Finally, human beings are getting to the point where they're recognizing possibilities the same way that all the rest of nature sees, which is the world is abundance and there's no need to have to earn a living in order to get what you want. Andrew Yang, as the host of this show said, Andrew Yang saw this happening 7 years ago, and his statement about truck drivers and self-driving is 100% accurate, especially the stat about the people. So I had a client who, actually two clients, when they first came to me, they were in the trucking business, and neither one of them had a college degree, and both of them were depressed and loathing themselves. So you can imagine when Andrew Yang here was talking about millions of workers who drive trucks, who are uneducated and likely do not have very high senses of self-esteem. Those people, when they lose their jobs, they're going to also lose their shit. And I'm telling you, the government is going to have to get off its ass and do something before that happens. And in my opinion, and obviously here in Andrew Yang's opinion, the best way to do that is through a universal basic income. There are many jurisdictions around the United States that have already tested this, and it has proven to work. The only thing that people are struggling with is how to pay for it. And Andrew Yang here is talking about it. He's offering the solution. The CEOs of these AI companies have seen the solution too. It's taxing the AI companies. There's going to be no other way to get that money other than perhaps a cryptocurrency play or something like that. But in the short term, it's taxing the Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven, you'll hear about it in a minute if you don't know who it is, who those companies are. Let's keep watching.
And if you have an AI tax or a compute tax, you get to very big numbers very quickly.
So they're now referring to the Magnificent Seven, or the S&P 493 instead of the S&P 500. Put a graph on the screen right now for the benefit of everybody at home. The Washington Post had this coverage. The point was that if you strip out Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla, then the market's doing okay. but the market surely isn't doing what it's doing when you include those 7. And I guess my question for Andrew Yang is, what happens if that is a bubble and it bursts? Then how do you fund the freedom dividend or universal basic income?
Well, right now, a lot of the value that's getting generated is being hoarded or held by a handful of companies, Michael. I think you're right that we should be trying to spread those value gains more broadly across the market and to people. Right now, US GDP is around $85,000 per person and trending upward, because regardless of whether AI as an investment thesis is a little bit overhyped, you know that it's going to have a positive effect on GDP. So if you have 85,000 ahead, then having $12,000 a year, which I proposed in 2020, actually seems pretty modest and reasonable. And that's going to be affordable regardless of what happens with some of these firms' valuations.
As you envisioned the freedom dividend, there was no means testing. Everybody gets a check, whatever that amount might be. What becomes of other federal assistance?
Well, I intended the freedom dividend to try and clear up and clean up some of the bureaucracy and administration that's currently being applied. I spoke to a disabled woman in Iowa during the campaign, and she said she wants to volunteer in her community, but she's afraid to because she's afraid to lose her disability payments. And I think most people looking at that situation would say, well, that's not right. Like, the intention is not to force this woman to stay home. So if you can put this into people's hands and say, look, this is going to be yours regardless, then it empowers them to go out and hopefully build things, start businesses, and participate in their community. Capitalism does not work very well if people don't have money to spend.
So this is a very good point he just made up. So capitalism doesn't work very well if you don't have money in people's hands to spend. And this is you guys, you really have to have a broader perspective, the bigger picture. I talked about this in my Universe 101 video, the training video that is free, by the way. You have to step back and have a bigger picture to see the magnificent co-creation that is creating this world we're moving into. Think about this. The United States has been a capitalist country pretty much since its founding. And as a result of that, we have an extreme amount of focus and commitment to that economic ideal. In the meantime, we have many countries around the world who are pushing against that economic ideal. Remember, what you push against gets bigger. And so we have these two parties, non-capitalist countries and the United States, pushing against one another, which is amplifying the development of capitalism. And now people are so, in the United States, are so wedded to capitalism that they're going to make that fucker work no matter what it takes. And so the way to make it work in the AI age is to give people money so that they can go out and spend it. And that's exactly what we're going to see. And it's exactly what Andrew Yang is talking about here. UBI puts money in people's hands, which perpetuates the economic paradigm called capitalism. And meanwhile, the Magnificent Seven, all those tech companies that the host mentioned a minute ago, are raking in the cash. And that's the cash that can be taxed. And like Andrew Yang said, when you start taxing those 7 companies, you get to a very big number very quickly. And that number is significant enough to pay the UBI. And the fact that the CEO of Anthropic, I think he said, Andrew, I can't remember his name, but the fact that he invited the taxing, it's the co-creation, you guys. It's the opening of the door of the solutions to everything we need in order to enjoy the AI age that is emerging. And that awareness is available to every single one of us. But you can't have that awareness if you don't have the bigger picture. If you're afraid of losing your job, you don't have the bigger picture. If you're afraid of losing something that you think is the source of your worth, and that thing is about to go away, you don't have the bigger picture, because your worth is not tied to anything you can lose. Your worth is not tied to anything you can lose. And so the opportunity for those people who don't have the bigger picture and who are afraid, for example, of artificial intelligence taking over government, the opportunity there is for those people to reassess where they're deriving their value. Your ultimate place of value is in your inherent worthiness as a point of consciousness. Your worthiness is not even tied to you being a human being. Your worthiness derives from the state of being that you are as a point of consciousness, an eternal being of immense creative power. And whether you're aware of it or not, you're contributing to exactly what's happening here with the decimation of the labor economy, the creation of the AI age, the decisions that governments are going to have to make to implement UBI and the taxation on the AI companies that will fund that fucker. This is so inspiring. Let's keep watching.
Is this capitalism that we're talking about? It sounds rather socialist, doesn't it? That everybody's going to get a check and therefore they won't have to go to work because all these jobs are being taken by AI initially.
It's capitalism where income doesn't start at zero, Michael, and you have a consumer economy that is predicated on folks being able to participate. And if you shove millions of Americans to the curb via AI and automation, then they're not going to be able to go to their local business. They're not going to be able to meaningfully grow the economy. They're going to stay at home. They're going to end up going down internet rabbit holes and getting radicalized in many cases. So that's a loss. And so if we can get people connected in various ways, that's the direction we should go. And I'm not someone who thinks that this money is a silver bullet that's going to do the trick. I mean, you still have to convey structure, purpose, fulfillment, community, all of the rest of it, that jobs.
So structure, purpose, community, fulfillment. He said a list of things. I hope you heard them because these are really important. UBI is not the silver bullet. It's a bridge. And as you cross the bridge, each of us as individuals are going to have to figure out what your value is, what your purpose is, what's going to float your boat when you don't have a job that you are forced to go to, because if you don't go to that job, that you're not going to get the money that you can use to buy your Super Bowl tickets or whatever. This is an important element, and this is why there are so many people on the leading edge of this development looking exactly at those things. And I promise you, I am not the only one looking at the convergence of artificial intelligence and spirituality. There's going to be an explosion of spiritual opportunities for people from which people can derive their value, because your value exists primarily in your spirituality, not anything that you do, not anything that you have, not anyone that you're related to. Your value comes from your spiritual center, which is the source of all that is. And that's why UBI is not the silver bullet, just like Andrew Yang is saying. It's not the silver bullet. The bigger problem to funding UBI and providing everybody with money so that they can participate in the capitalist economy, the bigger problem is going to be one of existentialism, where people attach their value, where they derive it from. And that is not going to be solved by UBI. Giving people money is not going to solve it. So people like me are providing the real solution to the real problem. UBI is just a bridge. Let's keep listening to Andrew and his wonderful, wonderful statements.
Andrew, a final question. There's an academic in the on-deck circle, and I'll bet you've read the stories. It's Dr. Yampolsky, who's been quoted as saying that he thinks in 5 years we'll have 99% unemployment. I'll see in a moment whether he's going to stand by that prediction. How bad does Andrew Yang think it will get undeterred?
No, it's going to get bad. I certainly don't think 99% bad, but if you use this 44% of jobs subject to automation as a benchmark, and then you figure that we're going to churn through, let's say, half of those jobs over the next 10 years or so, that puts you at 30 to 40 million jobs that get eliminated. And that would be devastating. That would be catastrophic for many, many communities. And I think that's a realistic place to think we're going to be heading.
Andrew Yang, thank you for being here. Perfect guest on this day.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
So there you have it. A fantastic announcement. Andrew Yang is bullish on the fact that 40-something% of jobs are going to go away in the next 10 years. And it's not going to be 0 today and then 40% at the end of 10 years. It's going to be a curve of some kind. And that curve is going to get more and more intense. The other person that this host talked about, I don't recall the guy's name, was talking about 99% job loss in 5 years. That seems a little aggressive to me. But even if it's somewhere in between what Andrew Yang and that other guy was talking about, it's going to be hugely disruptive. And that disruption is going to destroy communities. And because it's going to do that, our political leaders, if they want to keep their jobs, of course, until the AI takes over their jobs, if they want to keep their jobs, they're going to have to do something before the decimation begins. And that's where we're going to see this UBI solution come of age. Like I said, there are other opportunities like cryptocurrency plays that can generate some of that income. But I think the quickest one is taxing the Magnificent Seven and using that money to pay the UBI. Now, I did a video, I think it was last week, about it was 2 weeks ago, about the AI takeover of government. And there was a little group of people who came onto my channel on that video and commented calling me delusional. I was so tickled to get those comments because I am delusional. I am disillusioned. I am living under an illusion, and the illusion is the manifesting nature of the AI age. This is promise. It's all promise. Yes, there's some peril, but we're going to avoid most of it. Why? Because we're beings of pure positive energy. We are primarily oriented towards positive outcomes, which means we're going to avoid the peril. We're not going to end up in some sort of world where AI is destroying us a la Terminator or something like that. It just can't happen, because not only are human beings at essence pure positive energy, but so is every other point of consciousness, even more so than human beings. The interesting thing and the beneficial thing about human beings is that we have free will. We have so much free will, we can choose to be evil. The points of consciousness that make up animal nature, they don't have that freedom. The points of consciousness that make up matter have even less degrees of freedom relative to being able to choose evil. So the dominating balance of energy on planet Earth is pure positive energy, and human beings contribute to that. Most human beings contribute to that. So the future we're moving into is going to be fantastic. And if you line up with that statement, you will see the evidence proving that that is the case. And that's what I talk about on this channel every week. I talk about your worthiness and where it comes from and how to establish and amplify it, your value, where it comes from and how to establish and amplify it. And I talk about the promise that the AI age is bringing in terms of creating a future that is going to knock the socks off of virtually everyone, including those people who are resisting it. Thanks for watching. See you in the comments, and see you in the next video.